Hey harmonizers, welcome to this video of Dulcie the Mustang. She now has a name. Dulcie means sweet, kind of like Dulcie, but this is Dulcie the Mustang. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the progress of what she's doing. As you can see, she's now turned out with the other horses and she is fully equipped in fly gear. So she did really well on her first session being out of the pen and being able to be put in the fly gear, and now she's out with the other horses. And I'm so impressed with her brain and how just kind of gentle her nature is. She went out with the other horses, didn't kind of bother with him, just kind of went out to do her own thing and pretty much ignored everybody else, which is kind of a nice response because sometimes the horses can be a little bit aggressive or it can be really protective, and she was just really sweet, just like her name, just went out there and hung out. There's this really cute little sunset that was going on, so I just took a little bit of a video of her. And here's a little footage of her at the water cooler checking out the water. You'll notice a piece of binder twine on her halter, and that was still just in case she would be hard to catch being out in the field for the first time. And then here is in the indoor arena, first time over the checkerboard, and first time we worked with a flag and walking over a flag, and just so sensible with how she reacts to things. So this is her just kind of waiting, being asked to go over to the flag, and she just kind of thinks about it, and then in a second she'll just kind of step over it, which you really couldn't ask for a better response from a horse. Just very calmly, very sensible, really thinks about it before she does her back legs too. She's just kind of assessing the situation, and then she goes across, and no big dramatic responses, which is really, really awesome. Not to say that we want to push our horses to that point at all, but sometimes it's kind of inevitable as you're asking them to try new things and they, step on a pedestal for the first time and they'll, spook themselves and they'll rush backwards or something. But for her, she does a great job of just kind of staying really steady. So this is me asking her to cross the pedestal and kind of giving you a view from my perspective as I'm holding the camera and asking her to cross. And you can see I'm kind of nudging the halter a little bit just to kind of provoke her to try. And then if she's thinking about it, I just essentially leave her alone. And then after thinking about it for a little bit, she's like, I am going to very carefully jump over, which I thought was really kind of cool to see how she thinks and how instead of going into that fight or flight response, she's really good at just staying calm and thinking her way through, which is really awesome. This is just a different perspective working on the same pedestals. I just put my phone down on a post so that way it could film for me and you can see a different perspective. And her thinking about putting those front feet up, and then I'm just being really patient, seeing if she'll walk across with the back feet as well, just doing gentle nudges on that rope to suggest that she should try going across. And so you can see she thinks about it and she just does one little foot, one little touch on there, and that's good enough to earn a cookie and get a little bit of praise, which is how she's getting motivated to do different things. And then here's a little look at the first time starting to make an effort on touching those legs and progressing towards what would be picking up her legs. So this is the first session working on that. And you can see she's wanting to kind of pick up that foot as a bit of a reaction. This is my first time doing that in the indoor arena. And she's doing really, really well with just going down. And you can see I'm not even attempting to pick up the legs. I'm literally just focusing on being able to run my hand down those legs. And then the super exciting thing was that when she realized that she liked alfalfa pellets. So all the horses get their supper and we just put her bucket of food out in the field, and she just decided that she would start trying to eat it, just like the other horses were eating it, which is usually how it goes, is they see the other horses eating and then they become intrigued to try it themselves. And she's actually looking really nice, really healthy, gained a lot of weight, got a good shine to her coat, and that's just off of having good quality hay and having now been dewormed as well. So no special supplements going into her yet because we need to get her eating grain before we can do that. And this is her first little sets of trot following me, which is super cute, her working on that. And now you can see we've got our bucket of grain that we can use for positive reinforcement. which is very handy. And once I start doing that, then we can get into feeding the treats by hand. And as soon as we can start getting into that positive reinforcement using the food that's a little easier to give, like those cookies and the alfalfa pellets, things start to go a lot easier and a lot faster, because it's just so much quicker to be able to offer that reward, and so much easier than a bucket of grass or something like that, because positive reinforcement definitely makes things go a lot nicer for the horse. There's a little look at some moving the shoulders, some moving the hips, which are all maneuvers that we can get asked to do when we're at the Mustang makeover as part of the different patterns that we have to do. As well, when we're doing a freestyle, it's good to show some different maneuvers. The more skills we show, the more points we can get, and that just helps for having a good overall score, and hopefully she'll do well at the makeover. We're definitely having a lot less time than everybody else training for the makeover, since the way Dulcie came to me was not planned, and we skipped the first few weeks of training when we could have been training, because I didn't know I was going to be taking her. But I'm really glad that I kind of got stuck with her, because she's such an absolute gem. She's very, very sweet and very, very smart. And to work with her, even as she gets stuck here, as she's learning how to do her sideways, I just kind of, maneuver her back and forth a little bit. I try to help her figure out the answer. And her responses are all very calculated and very calm. They're not reactive. She's really trying hard to think and stay in that calm frame of mind. I'm definitely super impressed with her so far. She seems to be very similar to kind of a mixture between Kaibu and Elon. If you followed me for a while and you followed my Mustangs, Kaibu was kind of a klutzy, like super quiet, but to the point where he would almost fall over his own feet Mustang. And Elon was very smart, but still maybe a little bit more on the alert side, and would be kind of thinking almost a little bit too hard about things. He could be like an overthinker, and she almost seems to be a really nice balance in between. Really, really liking this. And this is one of our first sessions here, working on a lot of these, what I call the ABCs, which is just the fundamental movements that a horse can do, moving sideways, backwards. And you can see the back up, she's being a little bit stiff, and I'm trying to be very clear. I'm using my body position to be like, I'm driving your body backwards, without using too much pressure on her, and praising her for that. It's important that the horses learn to give to pressure and move away from pressure from a safety perspective, also from a building blocks perspective, and being able to progress to other skills, but also just helps to make everything make a bit more sense. But if, let's say, the horse gets caught in a fence or they step on their lead rope, you don't want them to panic when they feel that pressure. So it's important that they learn to feel that and learn how to be soft to that. But the important thing is that we don't want to cause panic. We don't want to cause the horse to become really upset. And so here I'm just repeating this over and over until I get some softness. So instead of making her back up 50 feet around the arena, or like really yanking on her halter or something like that, I'm just asking her to back up and just trying to clarify for her what it is I want her to do. And once she kind of gets a little bit soft, I reset, and I'm just pushing her back, trying to be like, hey, like, move those feet backwards. And you can see she's bracing on me a little bit, and I'm using a little bit of fingertips pulsey pressure. And every time it's like, okay, let's reset and let's try that again. And I'm looking for that softness. And there she finally, I went to go touch her chest, and she just took those steps back. So I just kind of stepped back and said, okay, that's amazing. And then I'll take her over to the bucket of treats afterwards. And there you can see she did a beautiful soft back up. So sometimes horses just need those few extra repetitions. And as we're doing them, we just need to remember, don't get angry, don't get mad, don't start yanking on them or anything like that. Just keep it all about trying to communicate the idea to the horse that you're trying to get them to achieve. It's not about making them do it quickly. It's about trying to take that brace out of their mind. And this is just another little look at her little trot, which is so cute. And I'm just doing it out in front of her to start with because it's a little less intimidating than being right beside her. But definitely for the competition, she'll need to be able to trot directly beside me. But these are all little baby steps building up to the Maryland Mustang Challenge. And for her, because I'm going to be going to the United States for a 3-week tour, going around to different clinics and practices and stuff like that, I will need to make sure she is really leading really well and loading on the trailer and all sorts of stuff because she'll be coming with me. So I was working with her every single day, experimenting with new things. This is a different session now, doing her first ever mattress. So I've got a little mattress set up, and this just kind of helps simulate the similar idea of a trailer because the 2 barrels represent a narrow space that she has to go through, and the mattress represents a funny floor, like a strange floor that she has to stand on. Just like how on the trailer, sometimes they stand on the trailer and it might rock or it might make a bit of a noise as they stand on it, and that can be a little bit intimidating. So even though this doesn't look like a trailer at all, it has very similar implications of training, of teaching her to go into those narrow spaces and to be calm and relaxed about it, and to be able to handle stepping on a weird floor, which makes it a little bit different. So I'm just standing out in front of her. She's got lots of space to go, and you can see for the most part the rope is very, very slack, and I just allow her to go when she's ready. She's going to get a little bit of bite of grain out of the bucket as a little bit of a reward, and then we're going to repeat that until she can do it nice and soft and relaxed. And that's going to really help her for getting ready to go on our trip to starting off with Vermont, which is very, very exciting and will be really great to just keep furthering her experiences. But this is kind of a cool compilation of a few clips along the way leading up to that moment of getting her ready. Here, making a little change of direction, doing it again. And you really get to see how her brain works. You know, she was a little bit worried and she jumped the first time a little faster, then she gets slower, and she really learns really fast. It's not taking very many repetitions at all for her to slow down her feet and realize she can step on this and that it's not going to hurt her. And then after doing all this stuff, she was able to get her first hoof trim, which was super exciting. So we did that using positive reinforcement, and this is her getting her first hoof trim, which was really great that she was able to get that done before we went away. And you can see we're using the positive reinforcement as she's getting her feet done. So she stood really fantastic for that and was able to get a complete trim. And then I had her get a massage as well before we left, just to make sure she was feeling her best. And it's also great because she was able to get some hands-on experience from other people other than me, and realize that by having them work on her, she was able to feel better, which is great. And she actually really loved her massage. It was so cute. She was really getting into it sometimes and letting that little lip go and just getting really relaxed. You can see that little nose kind of being like, ooh, like that was really nice. And she was really kind of relaxing into it, which was so nice. But that's it for at home. And next step is on to Vermont. Thanks for watching, guys.